Today, I want to talk about De'Aaron King, who has chosen to return to the University of Miami. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about De'Aaron King, who announced today that he is returning to the University of Miami for the 2021 season. Tremendous for the University of Miami. Dude had 22 touchdowns versus just 5 interceptions, threw for nearly 3,000 yards, could go over that mark against Oklahoma State in a game that I'm actually really intrigued by. Tylan Wallace is going to be a matchup nightmare for that Miami secondary, but Jalen Phillips has been outstanding for Miami. Add to this, De'Aaron King was awesome against everybody not named North Carolina and Clemson. Now, Clemson is in a category unto itself in the ACC. North Carolina is trying to get into that category with them, and with the performance that they put on, you could see how Mac Brown, Phil Longo, Jay Bateman have this thing going in the right direction. Say nothing of what it means for them to have guys like Dre Bly getting dudes in that can 100% play championship football. I mean, Michael Carter and Javonte Williams were the two best players on any team together this side of Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. Just outstanding skill players. Now add to that, you get Jalen Knighton back, right? You had an outstanding year from Brevin Jordan. Continue to build on this offense that Rhett Lashley has installed. I thought that Lashley was going to be on a short list of candidates for a head coaching job this cycle. Notably among them, Auburn, for which he didn't even get a sniff. Like, that job went through Bill Clark at UAB, Mario Cristobal at Oregon, Billy Napier at Louisiana, Kevin Steele at Auburn, finally landed on Brian Harsin at Boise State, which I think is a tremendous hire, by the way. But for King, you're also talking about, is he into the Heisman conversation yet again? And yes is the answer. Will he win it? All depends on what Miami does in 2021, and that means trying to get to the ACC championship game and trying to win it in a league that Clemson has run for the last 6 years. Only Clemson and Oklahoma have won 6 consecutive Power 5 titles. They're the first to do that since USC did it. Now, Clemson has 2 national championships to show for it. SC had 2 national championships to show for it, and then Oklahoma's over there in a category unto itself where it can't even get to the national championship game. Hasn't been there since 2008. King is also really interesting for me because I think that he has the goods to be a remarkably good NFL quarterback with his blend of being able to run and pass. The way that some folks view Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's system, if you match De'Aaron King with the right system, with the right offensive coordinator, you can have some really outstanding results. What Greg Roman does for the Baltimore Ravens, what he's doing with Lamar Jackson, what he did it with Tyrod Taylor, what he did with Colin Kaepernick. I think all of those things can work, and Roman's basically been running the same offense without much variation for the past 10 years. And when you put in his skill set, a guy that can rush for 3,000 and pass for 1,000 in college, you can see how that goes well. But it's Greg Roman's running a very specific style of offense, and that's probably what's going to hold him up. I wonder what his NFL draft grade was going into this thing, because I don't think he got a first-round grade, but since quarterbacks are just different, he could skyrocket in workouts and do what Jordan Love did, which is go from being what I thought was a mid-range guy, mid-round guy, kind of like Jake Fromm going in the 5th to the Buffalo Bills, to vaulting into first-round status and being 32nd overall pick as the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers. That's what you're dealing with De'Aaron King. Now, Lashley's offense is a variation of Gus Malzahn's offense, which wants to run the football and throw the ball deep. When you introduce a guy like De'Aaron King into the offense, I think you can get some really interesting results. Nobody's Cam Newton, but that's what everybody wants to point to as the best version of that offense. I don't think that that's necessarily a good comp because Cam Newton is Cam Newton. I think Nick Marshall and what he was able to do at Auburn also fits in there. I think there is some really interesting tape on De'Aaron King throwing the ball deep that needs to get more run and more play. The thing that's going to hold him back is his size, right? Even as we've come to, I think, mostly in agreement that being 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet tall is not the drawback that it once was 10, 15 years ago. you still want a guy that is on the side of 6'3", 6'4", that could do it. What people are really looking at are guys like Josh Allen, or to take it even further back, guys like Dante Culpepper. Big arms, tremendous athletes, hard to bring down, guys that are going to run your offense. You match them with great receivers like Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley, and you get some really cool results, notably an AFC title for the first time in like 25 years that the Buffalo Bills have won the AFC. I think when you look around at some of the teams that need quarterbacks next year, D'Eriq King doesn't really match up with a bunch of them. Perhaps that changes in the following year. Be interesting to see what happens with a Matt Ryan. Bringing in Josh Rosen of the 49ers, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Kyle Shanahan can do some really interesting things with him in that offense, and I've never been that big of Jimmy Garoppolo fan, right? I'm not that guy. But what people are also looking for is a guy like Justin Herbert. Big, strong, runs the offense, big arm, really good with his skill players and a great understanding of what they want to do. And if you think you have the kind of skill players necessary and you just need a guy that can put you over the top on a rookie contract, D'Eriq King has that skill set and has that star-studded mentality. Now, also, we're talking about the Heisman Trophy here, man. Spencer Rattler, I think, is going to be, once again, an odds-on favorite to win the thing because Trevor Lawrence is gone, because Justin Fields is gone, because Mac Jones is gone, right? Those guys are going to get drafted. And then you look around at what JT Daniels is doing at Georgia. That's a guy that should be there. Sam Howell is another guy that can be there. But none of those are players that can 100% keep D'Eriq King out of a race if they go undefeated. We'll see what the ACC regular season scheduling looks like for them, but I see no reason as to why Miami can't be good because that's what they were this year. They were outstanding. They just sucked against 2 top 25 teams. One is playing in the college football playoff again. The other is playing in an Orange Bowl against Texas A&M. They're right there. And if Miami beat North Carolina, they're playing A&M in that Orange Bowl. So they're on the precipice. I think people are really starting to get Manny Diaz in a great way, but I also think that he's run out of time because that dude needs to put together a better defense with the kind of assets they got. Bubba Bolden is outstanding. You ought to be able to do more, right? You shouldn't get boat raced by North Carolina. No matter how good North Carolina is, that game should have been much closer than it was. But having a starting quarterback that you trust, a guy that can win the Heisman Trophy, and a guy that understands what Rhett Lashley wants to do, and a guy that has been your starter since July and been a leader for your football team for the past year is only going to help you and only going to make them better as Trevor Lawrence and DJ passes Clemson over to DJ Uiagalelei, and Sam Howell continues to try to figure it out with, I think it's going to be a different backfield and perhaps some different receivers to throw to. All right, that's it for me. Doses.